Good evening.
Okay,
The time is now,
yeah, go ahead, Julie.
the time is now 6:02 p.m., and I will call to order this public meeting. It is August 7th, 2024. My name is Julie Bond, and I'm the Chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. Regular meetings and public hearings of the Clark County Historic Preservation Commission are held in a hybrid format with both in-person and virtual participation options for commissioners, staff, and the public. This will allow for safe participation by commission members, staff, and any citizen interested in attending. For those of you joining remotely via computer, you should be able to see tonight's meeting agenda on your screen. If you can't see the screen and have joined by phone only, I will be announcing the agenda items as we move through the meeting topics. Members of the public and applicants that have joined remotely are attendees. Other event participants cannot hear your audio unless you are acknowledged by the commission chair or staff and are unmuted. This evening's agenda is planned as follows: roll call and introductions, prior meeting notes approval, public comment for subjects other than public hearings on this meeting's agenda, as there will be specific public comment periods as part of the hearings, updates from partner organizations, chair and vice chair elections, website updates and testing, member reappointments, budget discussion and conference attendance, commission announcements and events, subcommittee updates and discussion, good of the order, and adjournment. We'll now have a roll call of HPC members who are present for this meeting. Commission members, please say "I'm here" after I call your name. Andy Gregg.
Here.
Elaine Thatcher.
Here.
John Zingali.
Here.
Jan Bader and Morgan Fraser are both excused, and I am Julia Bond. Thank you. So we will first begin with our meeting notes approval. We have both April 3rd and June 5th meeting notes to approve this evening. Does anyone have any comments on the draft April 3rd meeting notes? And I will look for hands or something of that nature, or Bart, if someone in the room has their to say something. Okay, I'm not seeing anything on that end, but I do have comments. So on page 1, I don't know if these are it'd be easier for me to just email to you, Bart. There's only a couple, but they're kind of they're just mostly grammatical, and unless you would like me to just say what they are here.
I'm taking notes, so you can tell me right now.
Okay, great. On page 1, under meeting minutes, it says Greg seconded for both sets of minutes, and I think seconded shouldn't be capitalized. And I think you can take out the word "for" and just say he seconded both sets of minutes. Then on page 3, it looked like there was a typo on the second to last bullet. How do I say this? Kind of fritzy. On the second to last bullet under old business, and it ends on page 3, and it's just above IRB staff did not have any information to add. Just above that, there's a duplicate word. So in mind, in with. So the in with, the N should be taken out.
Got it.
And then under announcement and events, Main Street Places Conference, the second bullet, it said deadline has passed, and I think it should be passed, ED. And then on the last page, I think that was all. Actually, I do have something circled, but I think I answered my own question. Leadership Clark County invite for September 20th. And I circled that date, but I did make a note, so I will. Yeah, that's all for April. Okay. I will now take a motion for approval of the April 3rd meeting notes.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Okay. And all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Does anyone have any comments on draft June 5th meeting notes?
None seen in the room.
Okay, thank you, Ellen, appreciate that. Okay, I do have a couple.
Ready when you are.
Okay, I'm trying to decipher my own scribbles. One just small thing at the bottom footer, it has an old date of February 7th. That should be changed to June 5th.
Is that the footer? Is that the footer, Julie?
Yeah, the footer. And then on page 3, under Schofield Building, just wanted to add the word "the" between 43-minute mark. Begins at approximately the 43-minute mark. And then commissioners, under the 4th bullet, it says commissioners and Fraser Bader. I think it should be commissioners Fraser and Bader. Okay, and then usually do this, but okay, so then on page 5, I think there's a word that was used incorrectly. So there's a word under budget, under the first bullet, and it said budget is a biennium budget, and biennium means it's a 2-year budget. And based on this paragraph, it sounds like it's no longer a 2-year budget. We have to spend it within a 1-year period. So I just wasn't sure if that word should be used there because of what this paragraph is saying. So just maybe something to look at. That's the first bullet in the budget.
Hi, Julie. This is Jason. We do biennium budgets in the city of Vancouver, so in that context, it's probably relevant to say that. Yeah.
Okay. It's just that in this section, it says that we are now on a 1-year budget. It says a one-time budget. It will not carry forward. Leftover funds do not carry forward from 1 year to the next. So if they're not carrying forward, to me, that means you have a new budget for the next year. Is that incorrect?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say it either way. I mean, but our budget, if we're referring to the city's budget, it's biennium. But in terms of your monies allocated to you, it's done on a annual basis, and they do not carry forward. So yes, that's fine too.
That was it for those. And so I will now, pardon me, I will now take a motion for approval of June 5th meeting notes.
So moved.
Have a second?
Seconded.
Thanks. And all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Great, thank you. The motion passes. Moving to the next item, public comment. We'll now take public comment on any items outside the public hearing items. We will begin with attendees in the room, if there are any. Please approach the microphone if you would like to make a comment. Are there any in the room?
None in the room.
No. Okay, thank you. Then we will now move to take public comment from online attendees. Susan, can you please read the instructions?
We actually do not have anyone online either.
Okay, thank you. This concludes the general public comment portion of the meeting. Now we have partner updates. We will now hear any updates from partner organizations. We will begin with our regular update from the Historic Trust. Is Holly on the line with us today?
So Holly let us know that she was unable to attend, but we posted her comments online.
Okay, great. Thank you. Are there any other partners online who would like to make a comment or update?
There are no other callers online.
Okay, thank you. This concludes the partner update portion of this meeting. We'll now move on to new business. The first item is we will now hold elections for chair and vice chair on the Historic Preservation Commission. And before we move on to that, I wanted to first ask the commission if this should be an item that we should bring back to the September meeting, since two of the people who have applied are in the meeting today, and there are only two that have not applied. I'm wondering if we should wait until we have a more diverse pool of commissioners to vote on this, or if you all are happy to do so today.
Chair Bond, I think in the best interest of organization, it would be good to hold the election this evening.
Okay. All right. And Bart, do I need to have a motion or just say that we will put this on the September agenda for review? And that means myself and Elaine will continue in our current roles until we can actually fulfill the final vote for the elections.
Julie,
What-
I think what Andy was saying is that we should vote tonight.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you. I thought he was saying postpone it. Okay.
Oh, no. I think it's in our best interest that we have our officers in place, especially in light of the fact that we're going to be prepping for some conferences.
Okay.
Time is of the essence, and so with that, I'd like to nominate Elaine Thatcher as vice chair.
do we want to start with vice chair or start with
So-
chair?
I'll go through my script.
Okay, I don't have.
That's the order we had it on the agenda, and
Okay. So let me start over. So for new business, we will now hold elections for chair and vice chair on the Historic Preservation Commission. And I, Julie Bond, expressed interest in the chair position, and Elaine Thatcher has expressed interest in the vice chair position. I will first accept a motion for the chair position.
I will make a motion to have Julie Bond continue on as chair of the Clark County Historical Preservation Commission.
I second that motion.
Thank you, Andy. Now I will take a roll call vote for each of the members to vote on the chair. So with Jan and Morgan excused, and Heidi, I will ask Elaine, yay or nay.
Yay?
John Zingali,
yay.
Andy Gregg,
Yay.
and I'll abstain since it's about me. Susan, how many yeses and no votes?
3 yeas and 0 nay.
So
Congratulations.
the motion passes.
Congrats,
And now
Julie.
we will, thank you. And now we'll accept a motion for the vice chair position. And I would like to make a motion for Elaine Thatcher to continue as the vice chair for the commission.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, John. I will now take, I'm sorry. Susan, will you now take a roll call? I apologize. I should have done that before.
Not a problem. Julie Bond,
Yay? Yes?
Elaine Thatcher,
I'll say yay to myself.
John Zingali,
Yay.
Andy Gregg.
Yay.
We have 4
Excellent.
yeas and 0 nays.
Great, thank you. The motion passes. Congratulations, Elaine. We will now discuss the HPC website updates and testing. So as you know, the subcommittee has been meeting regularly, and we're at a point now that we would like to share some of the progress that we've made. And I believe ask for some feedback on a few things. Susan's going to lead this section, and then I'll just provide support or areas of clarification as needed. So I'll turn this over to you, Susan.
Thank you, Chair Bond. So I'm going to go over a few of our web pages and then note a few places where we're, specifically looking for input. So I will be sending an email out about all of this information. So I'm just briefing you at this point, and then I'll send specific instructions on what we're looking for input on. Probably after, we have a meeting on the next Tuesday, and so the email will go out after that meeting with the subcommittee. So if you look at the, what I call left nav, so the buttons on the left-hand side that take you to the different pages under the historic preservation section, the overview has been updated, and we are looking for input on all of these pages, any kind of input, grammar, content, the way it looks, any of that. So start with the overview page. The commission page has also been updated. There are a few members we do not have photos for. I think we do have everyone's bios, though. So if you want a photo to accompany your bio, please just send that to me. The next page is the meetings page. We actually haven't updated the meetings page at all, but if you think there's updates that are needed, please let us know. The next page is the historic registers, and that's been updated. And on several of the pages, we are using these, they're actually FAQ boxes, but to make the pages not as long and a little bit easier to digest, you can open all of these different boxes for additional information. So that's the historic registers page. This page is about certificates of appropriateness, and this page is still draft. And it's draft because we're proposing a new way to apply for county applications. So most of the applications that you see are for the City of Vancouver. But we had, and I can't remember the name of the house, but about a year ago, we had a re-roof project that you reviewed, and that was a county application. We don't get as many county applications, but so we've rewritten this text, and I should give credit. Julie and Jan have rewritten the text and reorganized the page, and we have created a process to apply for a certificate of appropriateness, and we're trying to make it as clear as possible that you can either apply within the City of Vancouver or outside the City of Vancouver, because if any applications came in for any of the other cities, we as county staff review those applications. So I will send screenshots of this page because it's unfortunate, but there's no way for me to send you a draft of this, so I'll send you screenshots and you can take a look at it. I will send you a link to the draft application. And Jason and I will be sending this information to you and Mark as well. And one of the reasons I will be doing that is in case you have any comments on the certificate of appropriateness, but after our meeting next Tuesday, we will also have an updated page for the nomination process, which I'm showing now. This is the old page, and a new application, a Microsoft Forms application for county applications. And I did notice that the City of Vancouver has used our application form in the past. And so your applicants could use the online form if you wanted them to, or you could continue to use the application that's on the website now, which is basically just a PDF of a hard copy application. So we'd like your comments and your consideration about that as well for the nomination information and the certificate of appropriateness. The next set of pages that have been updated is the grants page, and we actually do have the application process for that, for the grants. That is complete and available for anyone to use at this point. So you can also look through that. And finally, the Historic Partners page has also been updated. So as I mentioned, I'll be sending out an email and asking for comments on all of that, with particular attention to the Certificate of Appropriateness page and application, and nomination page and application. Julie, did you have additional information that you wanted to note?
Yeah, I was hoping, yeah, do you mind going back to the Certificate of Appropriateness page? So the really great thing we hope about this, can you guys hear me okay?
That's a little bit better. I was having a little trouble hearing you. Which page did you want me to go to?
If you can hear me, just nod your head so I can see you guys. Okay, good, thank you. So the great thing about this that we're changing, or we hope to change up, is to do it now online. And so this form it's a working draft, and so we really are interested in your thoughts about content. If you need to look at other commissions applications, please feel free to do that. Basically, we're taking the best elements of our own, the things that we require, but then we've also identified some best practices for other commissions. So we're trying to incorporate some of those things and make it as simple and user-friendly as possible. So that's one really, I think, exciting thing about this. And then also those distinctions, because we have different application processes for outside of Vancouver and within Vancouver. And part of our effort is we need to collaborate more with our city colleagues on those aspects. I don't think we're there yet because we're still trying to figure out the county, but hopefully we can share some of the things that we've accomplished and see if we can also somehow segue some of the city areas and streamline some of those if possible. Would you mind going to, is this the full page for the applying for COA? One thing I think that we did incorporate in here is we're trying to incorporate the idea of applicants using the briefs, since we would like to see them applying appropriate methods to any type of restoration work that they have. And so we do ask in the application if they can address those, and we'll have a link that will take them to the briefs, and they can use those as tools as well to help them identify specific treatments for specific items that they're applying for a COA. We're hoping that'll help beef up some of the elements, the technical elements of their application. Yeah, thank you. That looks great. And then do you mind going back to the page with the sidebar again?
I don't know why, but I am having real trouble hearing you. Which page?
The one where we can see the sidebar. I just wanted to show. So yeah, so the technical, so we've changed the title. Before we had a very different sidebar, and we broke out nomination, well, maybe that was like that, but we renamed technical preservation resources. And I don't know if that one's ready to demo or not, maybe not yet. Yes, it is. Okay. Yes. Excellent. So this one's actually, I think, a really exciting page, because we have, and this is a beautiful photograph. I hadn't seen that part yet. So this is really our whole intent in many ways about revamping our website was to give new resources to our applicants, to all of us, really, to ourselves, to our staff, to our community. And so this, if you don't mind scrolling down, this shows there's preservation briefs. It explains what preservation briefs are. If you're a person who's doing something on your exterior, you go to the exterior section and then expand that, find the specific area. If you're doing something like you're doing an addition, you can go to this brief on additions, things to consider. If you're doing, a while back we had some gates, some historic gates that were made of wrought iron. You could find something like that in here. So we now have this section, which is exciting because we hadn't had this linkage before. And if you don't mind collapsing that so I can show them, we can show them the rest of the page. And then we have preservation technical notes. These are all from the National Park Service, so they link directly to the source so that when or if any of these things are updated on that end, they'll stay updated on our end. And then we also have, yeah, thank you. And then you can expand that and see the different types of technical notes. And then we have the Secretary of Interior standards. Since we use this for so many of our things, and so much of our work is guided by this, we wanted to have it out front and center so people can read it and understand what they are ahead of time. And then we'll move down just to the next section. Okay, then we have sustainability through preservation. And this link here does link to some sites that address that. We're not experts in that, but there are experts out there. So we wanted to at least help people link to people or professionals who are thinking through some of those questions people may have around sustainability and preservation. And then we have our lending library, which we're super excited about. Now we have this, and we partnered with both the Vancouver Public Library and with the Clark County Historical Museum. So some of our books are going to the public library, and people will be able to, I don't think it's ready yet, but they are in the process of labeling them and putting them on their shelves. And they will be able to, anybody in the Vancouver library system will be able to reserve and check out those books from the library. So in a way, we donated them to them. And then the other books that the library wouldn't take because they're academic, they are now housed at the museum, and the museum is waiving their fee and allowing people to go into their library section to use those resources. And this will, when you click on this, you'll see which books are where. They have brief descriptions. It's a very I hope helpful site for people. Yeah, this is an excellent. Yeah, so you can see kind of what the instructions are, which ones are at the library, and then you can expand it to read about the types of books and so forth. And then there's yeah, thank you. And I think there was, yeah, and then we have other technical preservation resources. And so this was a big page. We had a lot of content that we went through here and revised and updated. So excited about this page. So I just really wanted to highlight that. And I think otherwise, does anybody have questions about the pages or any?
Julie, I just want to compliment you for your meticulous work on this matter.
Thank you. It was definitely a group effort. We couldn't have done it without Susan. I couldn't have done it without Jan. And we're good. We have a good synergy. So thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. It's great. Okay. Well, wonderful.
Yeah, as you've been going through this, it's Susan, Jan, and Julie. This looks phenomenal. So you've done a lot of really fantastic work, and I look forward to going through and practicing on some of this stuff and testing as you've requested.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Bart, one thing I just noticed real quick, technically my iPad says I'm Andy, and Andy says he's me. I don't know if that's going to be a deal or something.
I think we have to redo the whole meeting now, unfortunately.
Restart right from the beginning?
No.
Please don't.
Well, we can change the labels, I think, pretty easily.
Have it down in record that the names are switched.
Yeah. Or we can just swap the iPads. Yeah. Here, I'll fix it.
Okay. I don't know if I should continue or without a visual. Maybe I should wait a second. I guess one of the things I'll mention is as people apply online, like I said, Susan said, we're revising the method to apply for COAs and also to apply to register. But then the supplemental documents, the things we're asking them to attach, like we want pictures and we want all these different supporting documents. And those will be emailed. So I don't know if you saw it, but it was on the site and it said, when your supplementary materials, do email those, because there wasn't a way to get the form to upload them. So and when you see that, that's why we didn't have that as an attachment to the form that they're going to fill out, but there is still that method. And the great thing about automating this is it'll make it easier for staff to track who's submitted and all the different steps and responses that have occurred. So there's a lot of really great advantages to doing this. Yeah, thank you. And then do you mind just going back to the page with the sidebar? I just want to see if there's anything else that I want to touch on before we move on to our next item. Okay. Yeah, okay. I think the technical preservation resources was the biggest, and we are still working our way through some of these. Some of them we finished because they were low hanging fruit we were able to do. But yeah, and then yeah, so we're making some good progress. So thank you all in advance for your time to go through it and give us some preliminary feedback, especially for the application, because that is definitely a draft working document. And it's important. We want to make sure everyone knows what's in that and is okay with what's in that and how it's articulated. Okay, anything else, Susan, regarding that? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, we will now move on to old business, and we will have an update on the reappointments of the 2 open member positions that began on July 1st. And I'll turn the mic over to Bart, who will provide the summary.
This is just a very quick update that both the reappointments of Jan Bader and Morgan Fraser were approved through the county manager's office. They both got their letters. They both returned their letters signed. Jan's was a little further along in the process, so hers was actually on consent yesterday, and I believe Morgan's will be either the next regular meeting or the meeting after, but they're both reappointed, and I know we're all glad, and I know the committee that looked at the applicants, there was a couple other strong applicants as well, and we had discussed after this was finalized of letting them know that they were free to reapply when there was another opening. So I haven't forgotten about that either.
Thank you, Bart.
Fantastic. Thanks, Bart. It'll be great to have them back and continuing with us.
Absolutely. Great. So next, Susan will provide an update on our budget, and we will discuss conference attendance and registration. Over to you, Susan.
Do you want to run it, or do you want me to?
Could you?
Yeah.
If you have those pages up, that would be great. Okay, and my apologies, I forgot to turn my video on during the last discussion. So we shared the budget from 2024, and this was discussed some at the last meeting as well. And mainly I'm interested in seeing if people are interested in attending conferences, or if you have any suggestions on spending budget in another way before the end of the year, because as we discussed earlier, the money can only be spent within the calendar year, so we need to plan for that before December. So this page shows that there's $10,680 left in the budget for the remainder of the year. I also included the list of upcoming conferences, past, forward, and places, and I summarized some of the previous conference expenses to try to show, in general, what attendance at some of the conferences would be. I think the costs in Walla Walla will probably be somewhat lower and closer to the Wenatchee conference that is shown in 2022. And then Pass Forward in New Orleans will probably be closer to either the Cincinnati conference in 2022 or the Washington, D.C. conference in 2023. So whatever, whoever is interested in attending, we'll need to make sure that we're keeping track of expenses so we don't go over the budget. So I'll pass it to you for conference or other ways to spend the budget.
Well, Morgan is not here, but I remember at the previous meeting we had discussed that she had intention to go to both Pass Forward and the, what's the other one called? Places? Revitalize Washington, that one. So I know she is dedicated to both of those, to the point that I believe she mentioned she already booked the hotel for New Orleans. So that is one person already dedicated to two of the conferences. Do we know how that pricing would?
Sorry, I know that she also goes to some of these conferences for her regular job. So I think maybe she should clarify if any of those are things that she's already going to that isn't for the commission. Just a thought when you guys touch base with her.
Yeah, we're gonna need to do that quick too, because these are coming up in October. I mean, we're in August, so our next meeting's September. I mean, that's lightning quick. But if it is two, ballparking, that's about 5,000, right? Ish. We got 3,000 basing the Pass Forward off of DC and say 1,200, so, you know, even overestimating a little bit, it looks like we still have around 5,500 or so sitting there. I can't remember. I thought there was someone else that also expressed interest, but I can't remember.
I had expressed interest, but only if we had like budget left. If there are other things individuals would like to do with the budget, research projects, things of that nature, I would prefer the money go to that before me going on the conferences, but the conferences are great and I'd love to attend if there's nothing else on the docket.
And Jan mentioned that she is going to Places, but she's going, I think, as part of her work with the museum, or the, well, she doesn't need funding. We'll just leave it at she doesn't need funding, and she was not interested in Pass Forward.
I cannot attend either one of those, so, and then that just kind of leaves Andy, unless you had some interest now.
Julie, did you have any ideas of? Go ahead.
I feel really echoey. So I'm trying to understand what's in front of us. So for the 2024 planned expenditures, the only thing that's planned is in red. So all of those other things have already been purchased. Is that correct? Even though some of them expired last month. Like, do we need to renew any of these things here this year?
No, so the only, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So, yes, the only thing that has not been paid on the budget is the Pass Forward Conference for National Trust membership. And that's because last year we saved money by paying that later and attributing it to one of the people who was going to the conference. And so we've held off, and it doesn't expire until November, and we've held off paying that one so we could do the same thing again.
Okay. And the Pass Forward is what used to be what did it used to be called? I'm sorry, I'm just getting a bit confused with some other things that I'm thinking of.
So Pass Forward, I think, has always been called Pass Forward, but I could be wrong. It's Revitalize WA turned into Places.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of. Thank you. So, okay, so these are just memberships, and then I see training, nothing in your training, and then sponsorships, which we have already committed to. So I guess what I'm missing on this, I see the sheet of 2024 upcoming conferences. I just don't see, I don't quite understand the costs because we have 2023 passed forward. So are we basing our estimates on these that were here from last year? Is that what we're estimating? Is that what they're here for? The 3,000 and the 2,000?
Yes, just to give you an idea
Okay.
of how many people might be able to attend.
Okay. Okay, and then the NAPC, nobody was interested, Revitalize WA. Okay. So essentially, you just need to know who wants to go to Pass Forward. If we did have someone go to Pass Forward, that would take, it looks like maybe 3,000. And I think it was John say that we have about 5,000 left. Is that right?
I mean, if we're reading this correctly, we have about $10,680 left over. If Morgan uses both, you would be, I think, an overestimate would be about $5,000. So that would still leave about 5,500 left over.
Okay.
So that gives
Okay.
another person could go to both in theory, if
Okay.
that's what we wanted to do.
Julie, do you have any interest in attending either or both?
I have interest. I just don't know if I would be able to. So I would say if that's something you're interested in, definitely, I wouldn't be able to do places and I wouldn't be able to do Passport. So never mind. I won't be able to do either of those. Now that I look at these dates. Although actually places I might be able to do in Walla Walla. But how about once we know if you would do Pass Forward, because that will be a more of a cost than places. Once that's factored in, if we have an additional amount, then yeah, let's talk about, maybe Susan, you can reach out and say, okay, we still have this much left. Who wanted to go to Walla Walla? And then I can hold my hand up at that point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can try to do that. It's a little bit difficult because some of the expenses don't get paid until after you attend, but yes, we will work to try to see what is possible within the budget.
One of the things, working off of John's quick math, very impressive, by the way, is that even if Morgan goes to both and Julie goes to one and I go to the other, we'll still have a few $100s left over, roughly. And if one of us doesn't go or both of us don't go, that's going to be more. And Jason, I believe, reminded us that some of these funds are just for this year and we should use all of it. I know last year we purchased books. Is there a project that anyone has interest in pursuing with these funds?
Go ahead, Andy.
I was gonna say, can we carry over the money we don't spend?
No, you cannot.
All right, thank you.
I mean, just off the top of my head, you know, if we do want to try to use up what we have, we could like look at actually financially sponsoring like the History Day program the next year or something like that, giving some money for custodial or the lunch for the judges or something like that. Or, you know, maybe it's upping what's the word I'm looking for? Membership that we do, like sometimes like there's different levels or something like that, but those are just kind of ballparky off the top of my head.
I think the issue, we had several ideas last year, and we have to have the funds spent in this year, right? So
So Jason may be able to talk about this a little bit more. If you commit the funds for something in 2025, it's my understanding that that is okay. But you have to, I don't know exactly what that might take. Jason, can you comment on that at all?
Yeah, I think if you commit the funds, like for example, if there's a conference in January or February and you sign up for it in this year and you use funds from this year to pay for that, I think you can do that. But I will get clarification on that with Maria tomorrow, and I will send you an email, Susan, and let you know exactly how that works.
So Susan, I'm sorry. I apologize to the whole group. I was thinking as I was reading the dates that it was September 28th through 30th, and I was like, I can't do that. I could do October 28th through 30th. So how about this? What we need to find out is we need to find out if Morgan is taking any of this funding with her registrations that we already know she for sure is attending those, and if they're for her current business or if it's through the commission. Then knowing that, we'll be able to know if there's room for the other two of us that have expressed interest, Elaine and I, to attend one or both of the other ones. So I think we should start there, and then we'll see what we have left over. And then maybe we can come back with some brainstormed ideas and pin some of those things down. But I'm thinking if we may run out of money quicker than we think we're going to once we actually know who's attending what and how much it will be.
My only
So
concern with, yes, Julie?
I was just saying, I know this is time sensitive, so I think that if that is, I think this is something we'll have to continue on email to pin some of this down before the next meeting. It's not something we'll wait for in September. We'll have this ironed out before then, is what I was gonna say.
Yeah, the other thing was going to be, we do not have a timeline of when Morgan might be available, if I recall correctly.
Do you mean
We don't want
via
to exclude
email
her though.
or?
So,
No, I'm not saying that we shouldn't contact her. I'm saying that the timeline of responses might take a little bit, as we do not know her current contactability. So we should also weigh that into timelines.
Hopefully, she's available by cell, even though she's out on the east side, but we'll try.
yeah. So is it okay if I look to, I'm not sure if I look to you, Bart, or you, Susan, to help coordinate those, like, it sounds like Elaine, myself, and Morgan are all available and interested in these conferences. Which one should we kind of look to help us kind of answer some of these questions and get this coordinated? Is it
So
Susan?
I will help coordinate prior to actually spending any funds, and then Maria Ryan with the City of Vancouver and Jason help once we actually get to spending funds. And we may want to, well, we can work it out by email. We may want to set some limits for certain things, and if you think you're going to go over that limit, then we would need to talk more or something like that so we can ensure that we stay within the budget.
Right. And I see your note on here too that says that the early bird rate ends August. I just left the page, but I think it's like next week or so.
I was just running the figures, and it looks like we have enough to do all of that before the end of the year.
Andy also bringing us in with the quick math.
Pardon me?
Also, thank you for the quick math.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it all could be feasible, just depending on airfare, like where those things fall and what rates are for like New Orleans versus DC, and you know which airports you fly in and out of.
Yeah.
But in theory, yeah, it looks feasible.
Yeah, airfare is the unknown, really. Yeah.
Okay, so how about I email all three of you, and we'll see what response we get back from Morgan. I know that some of you have each other's phone numbers, and so maybe if you do, I can contact her by phone, but as well. But we can check into that and see what other funding she might have and go from there.
Great,
Sounds great.
thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda are commission announcements and events. So first, Bart will provide an update on the 2025 Historical Promotions Grants.
Yeah, and this is just in commissions because we create a subcommittee to work on this project each year. The HPG program has been open since June 15th. It closes on September 16th. We don't have any official applications yet. Usually we get applications right at the last minute, like most people do things. It sounds like the Stanger House folks are pretty excited about utilizing the program for some work on their property. Whether they can get their ducks in a row this season, I'm not sure. And we almost always get something from either the trust or the museum or both, but have not gotten anything yet. It is my intention to send out another countywide news release on the 15th of this month, so another 30-day notice that when the deadline is, remind everybody what it is, and hopefully we get some applications because there's money that we want to spend for this. That's all I had.
Great, thank you.
Will we need a subcommittee for that?
Yeah, we don't need to form the subcommittee right now. Are you interested in participating, Andy? Okay, I'll keep that in.
Excellent. Okay, are there any other announcements or event reminders from the members, from other commissioners?
I see no hands in the room.
Okay, thank you. So next we'll hear from the various subcommittees, and I'll just go through each one. And if you have updates, we'd love to hear them. So for our first subcommittee, we have demolition and the code updates for that. I know Morgan's not here, but we have two others that are on that subcommittee, I believe, here. I don't know if you guys have any updates for us. You can shake your head no if you don't.
Hi, this is Jason. I can update. We have the application updated on our end. So when you come in, checking box to list the age of the building, and then if 50 years or older, having to then provide the photo documentation. So that's ready to go. I just need to work it out with the museum because they had agreed to kind of store the pictures, but that part still needs to be worked out. It's a little unclear how that's working on my end. So I need to follow up on that. And I have not touched base with Morgan about this yet, so I'll follow up with her.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Jason. And the next one was for design review and webpage, but we already talked about that earlier. So if it's all right with you, I will go to the next subcommittee. And this is for the outreach subcommittee. Do you have any updates?
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to let folks know that last month on the 26th of July, Morgan and I and Jason and Bart had a very pleasant morning at the Stanger House.
I think it was Mark, actually.
Was it Mark?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Jason. I was reeling in the years here. And so the Stanger House has made such great improvements since our last visit, which Julie will remember was the first time during COVID that some members of the commission actually got to meet each other in person. And so it was a beautiful day, and we got to see the painting and to see the top floor cleared out, and looked at their plans, and looked like about the whole crew was there. And so I'm very excited that the Stanger House folks will be applying for an HPG funding if they can get it arranged in time. But it was a real plus and the kind of outreach we need to do. And I was very pleased to be a member of the subcommittee, or however we want to call it, the outreach group that visited that day. Thank you.
I think Andy and I will probably schedule something soon to sit down and maybe talk about like what we want to think about for next year. I can say as far as the History Day, if we want to support that with being judges and things, we have 2 tentative dates scheduled for either the March 1st or March 8th of next year. So not 100%, but it's one of those 2 days. So
I would surely encourage Irene or whomever is in steering to apply for a grant that would fund the things like you're saying, judges' lunches.
Yep, and I have a meeting set with my other coordinators in the next month or so, and so we'll start to know a little bit more about that as well.
May I ask, I figured, does the school district require rental of the facility for the day? I know they charge for custodial care and opening and closing.
I believe so. My principal has been very kind in helping us out with that stuff, so I'll have to look into it a little bit more.
Well, I'd encourage you to write those, all the necessary items into the request.
Sure thing.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And then the last update is from the CLG grant proposal team that wrote the grant proposal for our design guidelines. We did hear back from DAP, and some of you may have already heard that we unfortunately did not get selected for funding. So we will not be hiring a consultant to do design guidelines this year. And yet, you know, there's more opportunity for other types of activities in the future, and hope that, you know, we have a really good strategy and a whole tiered approach of various things we hope to accomplish. So I just would, you know, encourage the whole commission to, for next year, think about how we want to prioritize a future grant proposal. So just wanted to let everybody know the outcome of that. Any questions from anyone about it?
I'd like to say that Morgan and Julie put an awful lot of work in on that preparation, and it was, I would say it was a very rewarding experience in terms of commission collegiality. And I mentioned this to Bart, that I thought that we could take DAP's advice and craft our goals and objectives around their suggestions. And maybe in the first year, we won't achieve all the goals we wanted to, but I think that they were amenable to it, and I felt like they were very welcoming in the presentation we made to the board of people who considered our application.
I would just echo what Andy said, that I think that the 3 commissioners that worked did a great job, and the sense I get is that the grant was not turned down in any way because of the quality of the submission. It was because of the nature of the other grants that were submitted. So they had an over ask, and it was just this particular project was, the scope was larger than they were comfortable with, was the sense I got. So I think we can do another application next year, like Andy said.
Thank you, both of you. And sorry, pardon me, I took myself off mute just as I swallowed wrong. Yeah, and just off the top of my head now, as I'm thinking aloud, if we did have a budget left over, we might be able to perhaps tackle some of the things that we weren't able to accomplish through this grant, but I don't know if that's possible. Anyway, thank you all for that. So that's the update for the grant. And just to clarify, some of the feedback was that they would encourage us to create design guidelines, not necessarily for the properties on the register, but more for districts. And we don't have districts. We only have our overlay areas, but we don't have necessarily, as you know, neighborhoods or specific sections of towns. And so that is one challenge of how to apply that to our context. But certainly, there's plenty of opportunity to do something excellent next year. Right now, the last item is the good of the order. Are there any comments for the good of the order before we wrap up our meeting? I think we've heard a couple already, so no need to repeat unless you really want to. Looking at the faces.
I'll just
Okay.
say congratulations again to our fellow council member Heidi Mailer-Huff and being the new mom, and it sounds like she's enjoying that, so, and enjoying her time away, so.
I've encouraged Heidi to call in remotely for a meeting in the near future while she is on leave. Thought it might be a nice break in the action, but so far, no luck.
She's probably catching up on sleep. All right, well, if there are no other comments, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second the motion.
Excellent. The motion has passed, and we are now adjourned. Thank you all.
Great job, Julie. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.